Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Drak Reviews, where I take on the most unlikely of pairings that actually turned out to be worthwhile this year, and that is Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So this is the first time, aside from Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, that we have actually seen Mario work with another company, in particular Ubisoft, who developed this mostly, and laid their trademark Rabbids into this. And let's go ahead and get things started with the review. Starting with the story, so the premise is basically that an awesome inventor who just so happens to be a Nintendo fan as well as a Rabbids fan is trying to invent a visor that can basically take two objects and make them into one. And when she goes to take a break to have some chocolate milk, because I'm assuming it's a kid, the Rabbids come in with their makeshift time machine and actually steal the visor, which then creates shenanigans because they somehow end up in the Mushroom Kingdom, and therefore this one Rabbid who has grabbed the visor is fusing a bunch of stuff together, and that's creating tons of shenanigans and improper beings in the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's up to Mario and his crew, as well as the Rabbids, to get the visor back and put everything back in order. I will be 100% honest about this. The premise is not what I like about this game. I am not the biggest fan of the Rabbids in Ubisoft canon. Like, I'm kind of 50-50 with Rayman as a character, but the Rabbids have always kind of annoyed me, which is weird because I've even admitted on the podcast I do like the minions from Despicable Me, and that's kind of the same premise. The Rabbids are always kind of annoying to me, especially the Mario variants in this game. So I will admit I took off a little bit when it came to the story here because the premise is easily interchangeable. Just because I don't like the Rabbids and you do, that's all well and good. But I literally looked at the story and went, oh, you could actually put anything in there and have the same plot, and to me it works. It's not just the Mario and Rabbids aesthetic that works. For example, one of the ones that came to my mind was, strangely enough, that this premise could be done with an actual Mario and Sonic crossover, and the premise would work either way. Like, it works with the Rabbids, it also works with Sonic. And so at that point, you could have Mario and Sonic's worlds interlaced with this and have, just some random robot that Robotnik creates have the visor, and the chase is still going to happen. Except this time, you could have even better combinations, like with Mario and Sonic being on a team. You could eventually bring in Robotnik. That would actually be kind of fun. Luigi and Tails. And the premise would still work. That's why I actually took points off of it, is because I could while I was playing this game, I'm like, I could put this and this together, and it would still work better to me than Mario and Rabbids. So that's why I took points off on it. Visuals. I didn't necessarily take too many points off in this regard because it does still look like a Mario game with, a Rabbids influence to it. But again, since I was literally coming up with ways while playing this I literally found ways to try and take the Rabbids out and put another more beloved franchise in. It didn't necessarily work for me, and therefore the visuals were kind of hurt because of that. Because a big feature of this, since Ubisoft did do a lot of the development, is the variants that you get for the Mario characters in Rabbid form, aka Rabbid Peach, Rabbid Luigi, Rabbid DK, so on and so forth. And I just didn't like those variations. They never worked with me, and even though the buildings and some of the universe actually kind of works, I'm glad that there was more Mario in this so that I could at least be grounded in something that I liked as opposed to something that annoys me. So I did take some points off for that just because, again, we could literally sub out Sonic for this and get wonderful fusions of like World 1-1 and Green Hill Zone. You could easily do that. Gameplay is where I can't fault this game because the way that this game plays out is really fun. And for a lot of people, that's what you need. Like, the premise can be really stupid as long as the gameplay is good, it works. And in this case, I would agree with you. So for those who have not played Mario Rabbids, if you've played an XCOM or a strategy game like XCOM, you're playing the same kind of concept. Except it's more kiddie and a little bit more accessible to any kind of age bracket, especially if strategy's not your thing. I would actually dare say, and I've even seen some game devs say on the Rabbids team, when they try to explain this to their kids, or no, not, they were XCOM devs, and they tried to explain what they do as far as games. They bought Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and instantly their kids understood and loved it. And yeah, the simplified form actually really, really works. Despite the fact that I didn't like the Rabbids variants, I did like the abilities that they brought to the table. And so in a lot of cases, I was willing to deal with the annoying because I would get this extra benefit in battle. For example, I love the fact that Rabbid Luigi gets a vampire kind of concept, so that they actually kind of intentionally made it, if you go down the right talent direction, that you want Rabbid Luigi to be kind of your front man, and then you have Mario and Luigi in the background sniping off, and for every person that hits a character that's been vamped or that has been vampired, they all get health back. So at that point, it's like an easy strategy that you can implement in later levels, and it works. That's why I like this game, and I gave no points off for gameplay. This is one of the things that I think was very solid and spot on for Kingdom Battle. Moving on into the audio. I did take points off in this one too, and not in the voice category. In my opinion, there isn't enough voice to judge it on a voice category, even though the beginning narration is told from the girl's perspective. Most of the time, though, it is sounds of, oh, ah, hee, hee, ooh, or in the rabbit's case, of, dah! So in that case, I don't necessarily think you can judge this based off of voice. The music, though, was pretty generic. I actually want to say, like, I loved a lot of the music that I was listening to. And there were a couple of points where I actually did mute while recording and went and got something from Mario Odyssey or Super Lucky's Tale and just listened to that because the music is a lot more compelling. So I will admit that I did take points off for audio, and it's just because the music there is kind of generic. Replay value and presentation. There is replay value here. It does take a while to be able to get through the main story, and there's actually incentive for you to go back and redo some levels, but with advanced abilities, so that you can get better weapons, you can get better, or like stickers or art pieces for this museum, or for the museum in this world. There's incentive to do that, so I can say that there's replay value here. However, not a whole lot, because again, I just don't think that unless you're a Mario and a Rabbids fan, the premise just looks like you could easily put in, the Mega Man universe, Sonic, any other, like, insert it here. Crash Bandicoot would work, Spyro the Dragon would work, and it would work a lot better. Presentation, does it all come together? Obviously, this is a problem as far as I'm concerned, because yes, for the most part it does, but considering the mixing together of these two IPs, I could easily interchange it and make it a lot better, in my honest opinion. And so I know that I've been saying that a lot in this review, but that's my problem with the Rabbids, is that the Rabbids, yes, they kind of work, but the reason they work is because they're kind of generic, which is why I have no problem giving Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle an 8 out of 10. Despite the nitpicks that I have, the gameplay does more than enough in selling this game to people, especially if you're a strategy fan. Even though this is a kooky premise, you will still get hours of enjoyment just playing these battles and being able to re-strategize how to take out your enemies. So this is one of those cases where the story doesn't necessarily sell it, but the gameplay does. But is it worth it? Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle is only available on Nintendo Switch, and while some places do have it available at the full $59.99, I have seen some stores, including GameStop, selling it brand spanking new for $39.99 now. So is it worth it? If you're a Mario fan or a Rabbids fan or both, I think it's worth it at the $39.99 price. Full $60? No, it is not worth that. Even though you get tons of hours of gameplay out of it, just given the mixing, and I've seen a lot of people kind of go 50-50 with this, I think $39.99 is a better asking price. So if you can get it for that cheap, or at least, like, I'm willing to go as high as 40 on this one, or not 40, but I'm willing to go as high as 50 on this one, but not the full 60. It's just not worth it to me, considering that I'm not a fan of Rabbids and I'm not a fan of Mario. If you're an absolute fan, then yeah, $59.99 might actually be worthwhile for you, but I'd still say go and get it for cheaper. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this review of Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your continued love, patience, and support for the channel. And of course, I will be back in time for the next review.